Welcome to the Business Chef Podcast, where we learn from the best about the business side of the food service industry. Do you make food? Then let us help you make money doing it. Want to connect with us? Check us out at Make Food Make Money on Instagram or Facebook, or email us info@businesschef.org. Hey guys, we are going to start something a little bit different, a little bit new, a little bit unique, take kind of a break or do something a little bit different than what we're used to doing with this. This is going to be called what I will refer to as In My Opinion. In My Opinion is going to be experiences and things that I find as I travel the country and the world, that lessons I can impart to you, the listener. And it's going to be based on experiences that I have as I travel and experience different things. We're going to kick off this week with what I affectionately call execution versus creativity. You know, when I first became a chef instructor, I noticed that in a lot of my introductory classes, which I taught a fair amount of, and even some of my more advanced classes, I had a lot of students out there that felt like they didn't need the basics. They felt like they didn't need to know how to roast or braise or saute or any of the basic principles and techniques of cooking. They didn't need to spend time on that. They didn't need to focus on trying to cook an egg perfectly or learning how to let a steak be cooked properly and then rest. They didn't need these basic principles because they were going to be on the Food Network, and they were going to be on Top Chef and Iron Chef and whatever else TV show out there that they could watch at the time. They were going to be that person, and so they didn't need to know these things. Well, as any seasoned professional will tell you and has experienced, we all eat a piece of humble pie from time to time. And what ends up happening is that those who don't take the time to learn the basics and learn how to execute properly end up paying the price for it later, in either having to go back and relearn it and spending the time again to learn to do it properly, or they end up paying the price in a sense that people don't get it. They don't. Maybe you're trying to be creative and people don't get it, and it really comes down to, man, I just wish I knew how to do these things properly. So I'm going to give you an example that happened to me this last week. An associate of mine and myself, we were up north. We were in the Pacific Northwest. We were traveling up in that area, and we ate at two different restaurants within about a 2 to 3 day time period. The first restaurant was a restaurant we had been referred to that was highly acclaimed, had a lot of great reviews. People spoke very highly of it, and we came to expect a lot from that. We went in there, and truth be told, we had a decent time. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. The menu was definitely something that was a little bit off the beaten path, especially for the area that it was in. But the food, even though it was very creative, was not executed properly. The menu had a Kurabuta pork on it, and I'm usually a huge fan of that. And I had this pork chop, which was acclaimed as the house special, and it was overcooked, and it was dry, and it was tough, and it wasn't executed properly. Now, Fast forward to 72 hours later, we are in another city close to where we were before, just happening to kind of drive around and look for places. And we found this place that, again, was highly acclaimed, had a lot of great reviews. And so we went in and checked it out. The ambiance in there was much different than the first place. It hadn't been, you could tell it hadn't been thought through to near the extent that the first place had been. There wasn't near the amount of money put into it. The menu was very basic. There was about half the choices that there was on the other menu that we had experienced just a day or two before. And so our expectations were not super high. But as simple as it was, and as basic as the layout and everything was, the service was exceptional, and the execution was absolutely perfect. Now, the moral of the story is, you can guess which one we preferred. You can guess which one that we would go back to. Now, my colleague and I are both chefs. We both have experience in back of the house and front of the house operations. We both understand the challenges that come with running a restaurant, running a food service outlet, the problem of consistency, the problem of finding good help. And so it was 8 o'clock on a Friday night. We had, which was arguably one of the busier times, we had a perfectly executed, just incredible meal that wasn't super creative, but it was executed absolutely perfect. Versus a very creative menu and a very creative presentation that we had just days before that was pretty subpar. It was pretty, but I'll tell you what, biting into it, first, second, third bite, and just having the disappointment come in was just that. It was a disappointment. So for those of you out there who are either just starting your career, or those of you who maybe have been in the trenches for a little while, just remember that execution trumps creativity. You can have a beautiful plate. You can have unique ingredients. You can have incredible presentations. But if it's not cooked properly, if it's not seasoned properly, if it's not done the way your diner or your guest orders it, then you've done a disservice. Execution trumps presentation, trumps creativity. Execution really trumps all. So for all of you operators out there, just remember that whatever you do and whatever you offer, just make it the best that you can make it. And everything else will take care of itself. This has been, in my opinion, and I look forward to hearing what your opinions are. Hey, thanks for sticking around. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends, family, coworkers, or anyone who's interested in making food and money. And when you get a second, give us a review. It really helps us get the word out, as well as letting us know how we're doing. Want to connect with us? Check us out at Make Food Make Money on Instagram or Facebook. Or email us, info@businesschef.org.